Currently, the way our game is set up, if we go ahead and click play, our character can go off the end of the world. So what we want to do is we're going to add some coding in so that our character cannot actually go all the way to the end. We want it to come to about here, or about where scroll X is equal, for me, for 0. Okay, you're going to have to kind of think about where yours is. For me, right about where it hits 0, that stuff starts to show up, and I don't really want it to. So I want scroll X to be at 0 and not go any in. And when you're looking at it, remember your game may be all played with scroll X in the negative. Okay, so we don't want scroll X to go more than 0. Here's how we put that in. We go to our first terrain, which for me is labeled terrain 0, probably something similar to you. And the stack I want to start is, as we usually do, when the green flag is clicked, we're going to put a forever loop so it keeps looking at it. And we need an if then. So we're going to put our if then in, and we are going to go to our operators. And remember, we don't want scroll X to be less than, or I'm sorry, greater than 0. So if scroll X is greater than 0, okay, as in starts to go more than 0, we want things to stop. So there is one that's called stop all. It would totally stop your game. You wouldn't be able to go, oh, I can't go backwards, I need to go forwards. So really what we want to do is we want to send our character to a position, okay? Or I'm sorry, our background to a position. So I'm going to duplicate this whole thing, take most of it off and throw it away so that now I will send it to exactly the right position. Okay, we want this background to go to 0, 0. We want it to essentially not move or go back to the same spot. Now, this will work if I stop this and I start it again and I push forward, I can go forward. But if I push back, it stops. But you'll notice scroll X continues to rise, which means that if I go, oh, I can't go backwards anymore, I need to go forwards, it literally waits till it gets back to below 0 to move. Okay, that's a little bit of a problem for us because it's going to confuse people. We actually have a real simple solution for this. In addition to going to point 0, 0, we're going to use our variable to set scroll X to 0. Okay, and what this does is when I push that, if I push backwards, nothing happens. If I push forwards, it goes right away. And if I back into that spot, it literally stops. But as you can see, scroll X does not change. So I'm now going to go all the way through to the end of my game. By the way, while you're coding, if you don't want to have to actually kind of, like I just did, play your game all the way through, here's a quick little tip. Go take this when touching color and change the color. Okay? Once I do that now, I can literally run this whole thing where I can go all the way to the end. Doesn't matter if I end up touching the lava because it's no longer a problem for me. So if you're going to be doing a bunch of this where you're having to go forwards and backwards, this might be a handy little tip. So what I did is, because right now I can run off the end of the world. So I'm going to back this back up, okay? And I noticed that at about, I'm just going to call it 2400, negative 2400, it looks really good. Now I added a terrain 5. I'm ending with something where the whole thing is my ground color. So now I'm going to go to terrain 5, and I'm going to build basically the same thing with just a few changes. When clicked, forever, look to see if scroll X is less or greater than. Yeah, I need greater than this time because what I'm looking for is I'm looking for scroll X to be, no, that's wrong. Scroll X is less than. I need less than, sorry. Obviously, this is something where when you're figuring this out, you might have to do a couple of these. 2400. Okay, so I match that. Then I'm going to do the same thing, or very similar to what I did before, is I'm going to send it to 0, 0, or actually send it to, yeah, because right now terrain 5 is at 0, 0, which is exactly where I want it to be. 0, 0. And I'm also going to reset my variable so that it doesn't keep going up. Okay, I'm going to set my variable, I'm going to set scroll X to negative 2400. And again, you can use whatever numbers it is that is basically your stop point. Okay, so hit stop, hit start. So here I am at the beginning. I can go forward. I can't go further back. I can still jump, but again, I changed my lava problem color so I can just truly scroll all the way to the end to make this work. And at 2400 I stop, and it does not continue. Okay, so I've now added the limits to my levels. Okay, so I'm not going to have my dinosaur continuing to run on and off. Now, if you don't need to see the ScrollX variable anymore, as in you've done all your work with this and there's no reason for you to look at it anymore, if you go to variables, there's a little uncheck box right here. You can uncheck it so that it's not showing right there. It's going to make your game clean up a little bit more. And if you choose to add something like scoring or lives where you want it to occupy that space, now you don't have ScrollX in the way.